Welcome to day 2 of Scansion. Hopefully yesterday you learned something about iambic and trochaic. Today we're going to take up feet with 3 syllables per foot. So moving on in the PowerPoint, the next thing we have are feet that have syllables per foot. So anapestic is unstressed, unstressed, stressed. The noun version of that is an anapest. So an anapest is a foot with 3 syllables per foot that is unstressed, unstressed, stressed. So the example there is cannonade. And then we can see it in the line, I am monarch of all I survey. So there's your example there. And then dactylic, or the noun version is dactyl, is a foot with 3 syllables in it. The first of which is stressed. The next 2 are unstressed. Victory, take her up tenderly. You can hear the flow there. I think that one should be fairly easy, at least via the example. Because this takes a bit of practice, the only thing we can do to understand it fully is probably to practice it. So let's look at some more words. They should be on your sheet as well. Fugitive, rhapsody are the 2 that we will look at together before you work. Fugitive and rhapsody are both dactylic. Fugitive, that ITIVE and fugitive, both of those are fairly, they're very unstressed. There's not much to them. And rhapsody, that strong beginning of the word is clearly stressed. So fugitive, rhapsody, both dactylic. Do the rest of these on your own and take another minute or minutes just to do them. And we'll get together and we'll go through the rest of the process. I'll play for you another free YouTube song. We're coming to the end here, so if you need more time, make sure you just pause the video. All right, we got beautiful and lemonade. Beautiful is stressed at the beginning, beautiful. That's dactylic then, and lemonade is anapestic. Strong dict at the end there is anapestic, and syllable. If you were to stress the middle syllable there, it would be syllable, which is something that my Latin teacher always stressed to us in high school. You put the accent on the wrong syllable. So that's anapestic. That's dactylic. Alkaline, again, a strong start to that word. So dactylic and arrogant as well. Satisfy and indigo as well. Understand and masquerade. I can't even say it without stressing that last syllable. Understand. Masquerade. Both of those are anapestic. Disappear, strong peer at the end there, and interject, also anapestic. You now get to create examples of anapestic and 2 examples of dactylic. I'll give you just a minute to do that. So what you'll need to do is write those two things next to the open bubbles on your sheet, and then write two examples of each. So you get about a minute to do that. Again, if you need more time, pause the video. Otherwise, make sure that you've done that so that when I check it tomorrow, you'll get credit. And make sure that you've done it so that you've practiced and can ask me questions if you have any tomorrow. There are some rarely used forms, spondy and ferric, and those are just like they appear on your screen. Two stresses in spondaic and two unstressed in ferric. It's usually used in connection with each other, albeit not always, and the breast of the dim sea. At times, poets will use spondaic for emphasis. One of the most famous examples of Lady Macbeth is in Macbeth. When Lady Macbeth in Act 5, Scene 1 says, "Out, damned spot, out, I say." You may have heard my daughter in the background again. I apologize for that. So spondaic is double stressed and ferric is double unstressed. So counting feet, we count the number of feet per line. So that depends whether or not we have 2 syllables per foot or 3 syllables per foot, whether it be iambic or trochaic for the 2 syllable ones, as we show here, or dactylic or anapestic, which have 3 syllables per foot. So what we do is just break them up into those feet, and then we count the number of feet per line, and then we get the second part of the meter here. So on the right side of your sheet, you'll notice what we call each of the respective lines for the number of feet in that line. So we've talked about the majority of Macbeth being iambic pentameter. If you look at the top, the box on the top right side of your sheet, we know iambic would be unstressed, stressed, and then pentameter meaning 5 feet per line. What you have on the screen here is whose woods these are. I think I know. Again, iambic, but this time tetrameter, right? Because there's 4 feet per line. And I have them all on this slide as well, but they are on your handout, and you should, in fact, memorize and know them. They're pretty easy if you know Latin: mono, di, tri, tetra for 4, penta, hex, hept, and octa. So here's some practice. I'll give you a minute to look over this. Once you've marked each syllable, stressed or unstressed, then you'll determine whether or not it's a 2-syllable foot or a 3-syllable foot, and therefore if it's trochaic or dactylic or iambic or anapestic, or even spondaic or ferric, although those are going to be rare. So look at these, and I'll give you a minute or two to do that, but we're going to jump into this fairly quickly. If you need more time, pause the video. Otherwise, we are moving on. All right, so let's look at each of them. So once upon a midnight dreary, we've put in red the stressed syllables. So if you look, it's stressed, unstressed, stressed, unstressed, starting with stress. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 feet in the line. So that makes it trochaic because it starts with stress, and it's tetrameter because there's 4 feet in the line. The next one is leaf again, life again, leaf again. So that's stressed, stressed, life again. 3 syllables to each foot. What would that be? Dactylic. And how many feet per line? Looks like dactylic dimeter. Because I could not stop for death, he kindly stopped for me. This is iambic. Should have gotten that one, I hope. And let's count the feet per line. This is one line. It just happens to bleed onto the second line here because my PowerPoint's not wide enough. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 feet per line. Because it's 1 foot, I could is 1 foot, not stop, etc. So that's iambic, and 7 of them, look at your little chart, heptameter, iambic heptameter. Oh, I love thee, let me count the ways. Couldn't be more lovely or more popular than this particular line. How do I love thee, right? So there's unstressed, stressed the whole way through. So again, iambic, and pentameter, probably the most popular meter. I am called to the front of the room. It's hard to say that with sounding anapestic. Unstressed, unstressed, stressed, and 1, 2, 3 feet per line. So anapestic meter. Other important or semi-important to know. Some of them you'll fill out at the bottom, and some of them I've already labeled, given you the information on the side of the page here. Fabrock is a foot with unstressed, stressed, unstressed. Very rare. For the most part, Chicago is your example. So the stressed syllable is in the middle. You should write that down at the bottom of your page. And anacrusis is an extra unaccented syllable at the beginning of a line before the regular meter begins. So when you do a line and you scan it and you see that, for example, this one is unstressed, unstressed, stressed, but you got that extra little portion at the beginning of it that occasionally happens. That's called an anacrusis. An amphimeter line is one that has stressed, unstressed, stressed for each foot. Again, fairly rare. You should write it down at the bottom, though. Attitude, the first and the last syllable of that are stressed. The t in the middle is not stressed. Alexis, an extra, usually unaccented syllable at the end after the regular meter ends. Again, it's a little tag on the end. I'll tell you how the sun rose. Right? The poet ran out of juice or just had to get that extra little piece in there. You will know both catalexis and anacrusis based on like the majority of the poem. So if the whole thing is iambic and there's one little extra syllable there in that particular line, well, that's the catalexis. A caesura is a pause in the meter or rhyme of a line right in the middle usually. Flood tide below me, big, stop here, exclamation point. Some poets even put an extra space in there. I see you face to face. So that's caesura. And then in gem, you probably know from last year, that's just a run-on line into the next without any grammatical break. This is pretty normal. In most poems, occasionally they'll stop at the end of the line, but in gem it's pretty popular. So when you write your poems, you don't have to stop your idea grammatically at the end of each line. You can continue on to the next one. Look at this one, green rustlings, more than regal charities drift coolly from that tower of whispered light. So you, as you're reading this in your head or aloud, you don't actually have to stop at the end of each line. The rhythm, the meter just flows from line to line. So I think this is the end of our PowerPoint, though, on Scansion. So just bring the completed handout to class tomorrow, and we will look at some additional poems and get some additional practice in. If you have any questions, please bring them tomorrow, because this is imperative that you understand. Thank you.